Good morning, students. Let us continue with our poem, page number 66. Yesterday we have stopped with the 8th stanza, where the woman, therefore she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. Up to here we have completed. You see, Saint Peter was hungry and he asked for a cake, and this miser woman or the greedy woman, what she did? She baked another one instead of giving him from the store. She doesn't give it because she feels it is too big to give it away, and so she baked one small one. She finds it is too big, bakes the second one. She feels even that was very big, and so now she is baking the third one. You see paragraph number 9, stanza 9. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. You see, the third time, scrap means tiny, scrap means small amount. The third time she took a very small amount of dough and rolled it and made it very flat, very fine. The poet says that she rolled to lay emphasis on the fact that she rolled the dough and made it very thin like a wafer and baked it. But when you bake, even if it is like a wafer, when you baked it, it will look bigger. And so she was so greedy that she couldn't give that tiny piece of bread to the Saint Peter. Okay, so she rolled it flat and made it as thin as a wafer. You see, as thin as a wafer, which figure of speech? It's a comparison between two things, and so it is your simile. Remember, as thin as a wafer is your simile. Okay, but even that she couldn't give it away to Saint Peter. Next stanza. For she said, why she did not give? You see, for she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. The woman is giving reason why she is not giving this cake. Telling when she eats that cake, she feels that they were very small. For oneself it is so small. But when she had to give it to someone, she feels that they were too big to given away. Are you understanding? For oneself, when she is eating, my cakes seem too small when I eat of them myself. Okay? When she eats herself, that cake is too small, but are yet too large to give it away. That means when she has to give it away to someone, it looks very big, and therefore what she does? She put all the cakes on the shelf of her kitchen, and she did not give any cake to Saint Peter. Poor Saint Peter, hungry, about to faint. Okay, she was about to faint, and then nothing, she doesn't give. And so do you think Saint Peter will keep quiet? He was very angry. When we are hungry, we also becomes very angry. Okay, you see stanza 11. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint. And surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. Provoke means to make someone angry, okay, cause to get angry. Now Saint Peter became very angry. He grew angry. He was very hungry. The reason is actually because he was hungry. He wanted to eat something. Also he was feeling very weak. And the selfish woman was not ready to give him even a small cake. And this behavior of the greedy woman angered Saint. Next stanza. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter and fire to keep you warm. Dwell means to live. Okay, you are far too selfish. You are so selfish to live like a human being, because any human being would feel pity that someone, a decent man, is asking. That means genuinely that person is hungry and you are not giving. So he is telling, you are very selfish. You don't deserve to live like a human being. And he added that God had given you food, shelter and fire to keep you warm. But then you are too selfish, and because you didn't want to share your food with anybody. So what? Next stanza, he will tell what to do. Okay. Now you shall build as the birds do. Sorry. You see here. And now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food, and by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. This is the curse Saint Peter is giving her, or the punishment. So because you are so greedy, so selfish, what will happen? You don't deserve to be a human form. You don't deserve to be a human being, and therefore you shall build as the birds do. You will become a bird and shall get your scanty food. Scanty food means very little, a small amount. That's called scanty. And how you will get this food? By boring, by digging and digging, digging and digging and repeating. Which figure of speech? It is a repetition. By boring and boring and boring, it's a repetition. Understood? Here it is here. Boring and, here you see boring and boring and boring. 3 times it is there. So it's a repetition. Here Saint Peter cursed the woman that hereafter she would become a bird, because she did not deserve the human form. She shall become a bird, and just like birds build their houses by boring into the wood and collect very little food by working hard the entire day, similarly, she would also work hard in the dry wood all day and get little food and make a small place for herself to live in. Clear? And you will see there what type of bird she will become. This is called your woodpecker. Understood? This is woodpecker. Boring, digging this wood, dry wood, to get their scanty food. Then follow stanza 14th. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. You see, as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman, she did not get a chance to speak for herself, because that very moment she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird. Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman to a bird. Stanza 14. Then up she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. You see, as soon as Saint Peter cursed the woman, she did not get a chance to speak for herself. She couldn't give any reason, couldn't defend herself, because that very moment, that instant, she became a bird, and she flew up to the roof through the chimney and flew out in the form of a bird. Saint Peter's curse had converted the woman into a bird. You see here how this is the woodpecker, how she became a woodpecker, pecking or the boring the dry wood to get the scanty food. This is the curse that she got. And you see, this is the chimney. You see from here how she came out from this. This is her small cottage, and the chimney, through the chimney she flew away. You see how she is flying away, and no time to defend herself. Okay, there is no time. That sorry, no time to say sorry. Okay, take. Suppose if she would have said that, then what would have happened? Curse wouldn't have been applicable to her, but then she didn't get a chance to say sorry. Stanza 15th. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burnt black as a coal in the flame. Scarlet cap means brilliant red color. When the woman turned into a bird, at that time, she was wearing a red colored cap on her head. Usually those who are baking, bakers, they will have the cap, you might have seen, they will cover their head. So she had a red color cap on her head. That is called scarlet cap. Okay, and this cap was there on the bird's head also. But the woman's remaining clothes, what she was wearing, it burned and turned black, just like the coal. And that's why you see the bird, the whole body is black. Only on the top, you see, the top is red. So that is the head part is red color, because it is a hat. Okay, the scarlet cap that she was wearing, that remained intact. Rest part of the clothes that she was wearing became black, like a coal. Again, black as a coal in the flame. Which figure of speech? It is a simile, because the word as is written there. The comparison between the woman becoming, her clothes becoming black and the coal. Clear? Last stanza. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. Every country schoolboy means the village, in the rural areas. While going to the school, on the way, they have seen this bird. In the wood means in the forest. They have seen this bird in the wood, in the forest. Even the children, going to the school, they have seen this kind of bird in the woods, in the forest. In the cities, you will not see maybe this kind of birds, because they need dry wood, to get their food. They see that she stays there all day and keeps on digging the wood with her beak to collect her food. Whenever any child sees this kind of bird, then his elders tells him this story. Which story? A legend of the Northland. Clear? This is the story they tell. This bird, why the head is red and rest all the parts of this body of this bird is black? This is the curse of Saint Peter and the reason why she has become so. Okay, they say that the bird used to be a woman earlier. She was very greedy, and so she was cursed by Saint Peter and turned into a bird. They get a teaching that they should not be greedy. And so, my dear students, what is the lesson? What is the moral of this story? Though the poet says that I don't think so it is true story, but then I am telling this story so that in the third stanza, so that you may believe, so that you may believe, and not you may believe, but then there is you may learn something. You may learn something. So what do we learn in this story, in this legend? That we should not be greedy like this woman. We should be, in fact, opposite of greedy is generous. We should be generous to share our belongings, our things, our knowledge also. Okay, sometimes some students, those who are clever, don't like to share or share with the other students their notebooks. See to it that if you know and your friends they don't know, then you must share with them. You should tell them. Okay, even some information, if they don't know, then you should tell them. Okay, now turn your page to 67 and you will see there thinking about the poem. First question, very quickly I will be speaking. Okay, you will have to write down. If you cannot get me, you write down in your own words. Now if you know the story, then you will be able to write by your own. Which country or countries do you think the Northland refers to? First question. Okay, sorry. The Northland refers to I have told you, the region around the North Pole, which is extremely cold. It could be any country like Russia, Canada, Greenland, Norway, etc. Here, the speciality of this Northland is the days are short and nights are long. Second question, what did Saint Peter ask the old lady for? What was the lady's reaction? You know it, it's very easy. Saint Peter asked for what? He asked the lady to give him a cake as he was hungry. The lady did not give him a cake out of the what she had baked. Instead, she baked a smaller one for him. At last, she did not give anything to eat. Third, how did he punish her? Answer would be, he punished the selfish lady by turning her into a woodpecker bird that had to bore into the dry wood all day to get some food and shelter. Fourth, how does the woodpecker get her food? Woodpecker gets food by boring holes in the wood. In the wood is forest. Fifth, do you think that the old lady would have been so ungenerous if she had known who Saint Peter really was? What would she have done then? Answer would be, if the old lady knew who Saint Peter was, then she would not have been ungenerous or unselfish. Okay. On the other hand, she would have served him well. He would have given more than what he was asking for the fulfillment of her greedy desires. Sixth, is this a true story? Which part of this poem do you feel is the most important? It is not a true story because the topic itself is a legend. The point of the story where the woman is turned into a woodpecker bird is the most important towards the end. This is so because the punishment teaches everyone the lesson to be generous. Third stanza tells that the poet doesn't believe it to be a true, but it teaches a lesson. That's why the poet is telling this story. 7. What is a legend? Why is this poem called a legend? I have told you in the introduction. Still again I tell you, legend is a popular story from the past which is believed to be true but cannot be verified. Okay, not necessarily. It contains a moral which is narrated to the children to teach them moral values. Write the story of a legend of Northland in about 10 sentences. Write in your own words the summary of the poem. Okay. You will find there another question is there about the rhyming words. Okay, rhyming words they are given. A few you see in your textbook. Let's look at the words at the end of the second and fourth lines. Snows and clothes, true and you, below and no. We find that snows rhymes with clothes, true rhymes with you, and below rhymes with no. Find more such rhyming words. You will find there few and through, earth and hearth, done, one, lay, away, flat, that, myself, shelf, faint, saint, form, warm, food, and wood, board, bird, same, flame. These are the rhyming words in the poem. Go through the local library or talk to older persons in your locality and find legends in your own language. Tell the class these legends. That means some story. Okay. Stories, those are not necessarily true. My dear students, what moral lesson do you get from this poem? This story or this poem tells us that true happiness lies in sharing things with the persons who are in need. If we are greedy, we cannot have happiness in our life. It is believed, if the more you give, more happy you feel. When you are giving someone, you feel more happy. And therefore, the true happiness is in giving more than in receiving. Understood? And so, with this we stop. We complete our poem, Legend of the Northland. Learn it, write all the questions, answers, and I will be asking you to submit this notebook soon.